screen, and look at the move. He's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh. Well, righty-roo. Ladies and gents, we are back. It is the second of the triple header. And here we are in Austria, the A1 ring. Now, very exciting, even though this is going to be a very, very tough race for a lot of the teams. This is Red Bull's home track. Yes, they're a British team, but their main sponsor, Red Bull, they are from Austria. Guys, this is such an important race for Red Bull to win. So the pressure in many ways is on now. If McLaren and Ferrari didn't have that competitive angle now that they have, they'd be feeling a lot more relaxed. But I think going into this weekend, they're certainly going to feel a lot more pressure now, because there's a chance these guys might not win. And the Austrian track is a very short track, and it's like, in many ways, it's like the Italian Grand Prix that we were just at. And guess who won? Lando Norris. So we know that McLaren have a very good balance in their car at slow speed and mid-speed bends, and Austria is just like that. You wouldn't say it's a slow speed, you'd say it's more of a mid-speed, slow to mid. So I think Lando Norris and McLaren are going to be very, very competitive this weekend. It's going to be very exciting. So let's get into it, guys. So like we said, we're back with the triple header, the second of the three in a row. Now the weather looks pretty good for this weekend. Friday we've got sunshine, Saturday we got sunshine, and Sunday we've got cloud. Now, you never know around this track. Why am I talking about the weather? Because this is one of those tracks that if it does rain, the way the surface is and the way the grip lays down on the track, if this place gets heavy rain, that grip that gets laid down on the surface is incredibly slippy. And maybe it's hard to explain, because sometimes, guys, the surfaces of tracks will differ. So in other words, you could go to, let's say, random example, you could go to Silverstone next week. It could piss rain, but it wouldn't be a slippy surface. Whereas if you go to Austria with that grip and the way the tarmac is laid out and the gradient, etc., it could be like ice. I mean, it's amazing the way some of these tracks can differ, guys. And, you know, I'm hoping for rain. Definitely. I think most of us are, aren't we? Okay, now, there's not much news. We don't have much news since only a few days ago we were obviously at the last round and in Spain. So now there is one bit of news here, all right, though, guys. Christian Horner has come on to the radio and the TV, and he's now saying that they need Checo in the mix. He knows that, and the team know that. And he also says if he's on the back end of the top 8, you lose strategic options, whether you split your strategies and so on. Checo in the first 4 or 5 races this year was fantastic. We just need him to get back into that headspace. I think he's had a couple of difficult races and things haven't gone his way. He's had a confidence-driven driver, I think. He's a confidence-driven driver, I think, and I think that hopefully he'll have taken some, he's back in the points here, drove a decent race. Hopefully he'll take some confidence out of that for the following races. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have been saying it all along. They are not giving him the attention because they want their golden boy to just clean up and finish off the year in style. Now, is there any truth to what he's saying here? Actually, he might be exactly saying the truth, because maybe now Christian has decided, okay lads, we've lost some momentum here. What the hell is going on? But what you've also got, like a lot of other drivers and teams, You've got the other number 2 driver. Now, we know Sergio Perez is a team player. We know he doesn't kick and moan and cause an absolute war if he doesn't get the attention. He is the dream scenario for Max Verstappen. And we know he could help him here at Austria. So I think this could be interesting. Because I do think if they give Sergio Perez the attention and the car, then he'll be right up there. It's not that he's lost confidence, guys. I've been saying this all along. Sergio Perez in 2023 had a couple of wins, I think. Yeah, he did. A couple of wins, podiums, etc. Bang. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, bang, he's nowhere to be seen. Then all of a sudden, the same thing this year again. He's had a couple of good races, and then he's nowhere to be seen. Christian Horner's saying it's a confidence thing. No, it's not. He's just not getting the car that Max is. Simple as that. Now, would it be an unbelievable coincidence if he gets the car this weekend, Sergio Perez? Well, you know what, guys? It's hard to know what they'll do, Red Bull. But all of a sudden, if we see Sergio Perez, quote, gaining his confidence back and he's up at the top of the grid, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not going to be saying to myself, wow, Sergio Perez is really actually, yeah, you know, he's dug deep here, lads. He's yeah, you know, well done. Good man, Sergio. No, about time. I won't be saying that. Not for 1 second. Not for 1 second. So, anyway, guys, it'll be interesting to see. And it's a Red Bull home track. I think that, yes, they'd love to have a 1-2 at this track. Now, again, we're not even halfway through the season here, so there's a long way to go. But at this stage, is it worth bringing in Sergio Perez to help out with the championship? You see, this is the other side of the coin. Max Verstappen has a 69-point lead. Does he really need help here at this stage? I mean, 69-point lead, guys, that's almost 3 wins in hand. So in other words, if Max Verstappen extends his lead over 75 points at Austria this weekend, that means he could literally sit at home for the next 3 races and still be in the lead of the championship. So, I don't know. Maybe Christian's talking out of his ass. Maybe he's not feeling as confident as he should be because they have lost some pace in that car. Or you could argue maybe McLaren and Ferrari have found pace, especially McLaren at this stage. So it's going to be very fascinating to see what happens with Sergio Red Bull this weekend in Austria and Silverstone next weekend. This is going to be one now that's really going to play into the mix, I think. So, next on the cards, guys, let's look at the track. So, it's the Red Bull Ring. I mean, they even named the track the Red Bull, so it just goes to show it is their home track. So, the number of laps, guys, is 71. The circuit length is 4.3. The lap record, 105.6 by Carlos Sainz back in 2020. Now, if we look at the track here, now, it looks fairly short, I think, really, doesn't it? And it is a short track. And it's going to be very, very tricky in qualifying because it's such a small track and tight. You're going to have cars climbing all over each other. So really, qualifying 1 and qualifying 2, the secret to those qualifying 1 and 2s are to just get through. Because when you get to qualifying 3, as we all know, there's less cars on the grid. So in qualifying 1, you've got all 20, but you get to qualifying 3, you've only got 10. So then you've got less traffic on the track to deal with. So really, just get through 1 and 2. Don't worry so much about getting the best lap time. Just get through 1 and 2, and boom, then you go for it in qualifying 3. Now, this track is an interesting one, guys. I think really, you know, I'm in 2 minds about what the most important corner on the track here is. I'm still up and down. You could toss a coin really on this one. You could toss a coin. I think getting out of turn 4 is vital, because once you go through turn 4 here, you're coming from 8th down into 3rd or 4th, depending on their gearing. This right-hander starts to close up on top of you, so it feels like when you come out of the corner, you're coming out and you're straightening up the wheel. But actually, there's that last little turn that you got to make just at the end of the bend. So this corner can trick you out. It can also be actually a very... there's a good possibility of overtaking in turn 4, which is weird because some of these guys do it on the outside, right? You wouldn't think that, but a lot of guys have done it in the past. But I think getting out of turn 4 is very, very vital, because if you get a good smooth run out of here, you're coming into turn, and then 5 is just an easy, well, it's pretty much a straight. It's not a corner. You go into turn 6, you carry the momentum into 6, followed by into 7, and then through 8. So in a way, turn 6, 7 and 8 are all one corner, and even though they're not, you would treat them as one corner, because you carry the momentum from 6 and you use that momentum from 6 to set up 7, and then set up 7 with that momentum you set up 8. So I think that's the key where it's going to be beneficial for all drivers. Get out of turn 4, nice, smooth, make sure you don't get caught out on that exit coming out, and you're away with it. Okay, guys, so before we go, it's obviously it's a short podcast today, because obviously we don't have much news to go through, because obviously with these triple headers. Well, a couple of things to look out for. Obviously we've got the sprint race this weekend, so that could throw something in the mix. I mean, all it takes, this is where now McLaren, this works in favour for McLaren, because they could, if they won the sprint race and Verstappen had a DNF, well then they could pick up another 8 points. Then if they went on to win the actual Grand Prix, that'll be another 25 points. Throw in the fastest lap, now you're looking at 26. So they could potentially walk away with 34 points, which would be a huge advantage. Then again, that's a big dream scenario that Verstappen doesn't finish. Again, that's if he didn't finish both races, which, look, there's always the chance, but it ain't gonna happen. All right, let's call a spade here. But you know, if something did happen, McLaren have 2 chances of picking up points. So even though the chances are very, very small, McLaren would be hoping and praying to God that the sprint race will work in their favour. And it could. You know, you just never know, guys. I mean, you cannot rule the sprint races out. They still are very, very important parts of your weekend. Because again, it's 8 points. And all it takes at the end of the year here is the championship comes down to a couple of points, and let's say it goes in McLaren's favour this weekend, and let's say Verstappen finishes the Grand Prix, but he doesn't finish the sprint race, and then Lando Norris kicks ass for the rest of the year. Verstappen could have lost the championship in the sprint race at the Red Bull Ring, because he didn't pick up the points at that particular weekend. Do you know what I mean? Now, look, I know he's looking really, really good at the moment, but you get where I'm coming from, guys, right? I mean, a lot of championships, whether there's a sprint race involved or there's not, it can always come down to one bloody point, and a lot of the times it does come down to 1 point. And you could backtrack, you could go all the way back to, do you know what, guys? And guys, I've even seen this when I was racing. You can always go back to, oh, God damn it, man, you know, if we just finished in the points that weekend. In other words, you could have an engine problem at round 3, and then you get to round 10, which is your last race of the year, you lose the championship because everything went nicely, perfectly for you, but at round 3 you had an engine problem and you didn't finish in the top 10 to get a point, or even worse, you finished 11th because on the last lap your engine started to splutter and started to die, and then you lost 1 position. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes the championship is not even won at the last round. It's won because the other guy had some bad luck at the round 3. Anyway, a long explanation, guys, but I hope you see where I'm coming at. Okay, so to finish it off, predictions. Well, Christ. I think this is going to be a fascinating race to watch. For two reasons. Number one, okay, Verstappen, you've got to say he's going to be favourite for the sprint, to win the sprint and to win the Grand Prix. You got to put your money on him. However, the pace McLaren have picked up on slow to mid-speed tracks has been outstanding in the last couple of months. And the way they had such a great race in Italy, yes, they got lucky with the safety car. I know. But they still had the pace, guys. And even last weekend at Spain, that's a bit of a mix of all types of corners in a way. But they did have the pace, and I just think they had one or two little mistakes here and there, inexperiences of winning a championship. I think that cost them. So I think they can still be on the pace here. You never know what could happen. And one little bit of blind bad luck for Max Verstappen, and championship is game on again, man. Game on again. Because they could start to cream in their pants, guys. And it's a long way to go. Now look, I know I'm actually going up and down like a bloody yo-yo here the last week and a half. I mean, 10 minutes later I'd be throwing in the towel, like accepting defeat, that it's over, man, it's over. Like I've been like that, so maybe we've got to keep a bit of positivity here. But this is the good news. Verstappen is not running away with the races now. He's not. So let's keep the positivity. I'll say projection time. I will go with Verstappen for the sprint and Verstappen for the race. I'll go Norris will come in second for both. Piastri in third. Now, hopefully we're wrong, guys. Hopefully I'm bloody wrong. And Norris walks away with some points. And hopefully, I can't even believe I'm saying this because I'm a Max Verstappen fan. Hopefully Verstappen has a DNF in both. I can't even believe I'm saying it. I'm actually a Max Verstappen fan, but I want this to whole open up for everybody else here. So okay. So guys, that was my preview for the Austrian Formula 1 weekend, and I will be back Monday morning with the highlights of the Red Bull Ring. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from fifth all the way to the lead in lap one.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Walsh.